Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. So today we're going to be looking at paper 2 and we're going to be focusing on the database section. So this paper is from the Information Communication Technology course code 04117. So we're looking at the May-June 2018 paper version 21. So this is a 2 hour and 30 minutes practical paper. So today we're going to be focusing on task 3, which is databases. Okay, so task 3. You are now going to prepare some reports using related tables in the database. Make sure all dates are displayed in the format day, 3 letters for month and 2 letters for year. So the month will appear as Jan or Feb, and the times are displayed in the format 2 letters for hours, 2 letters for minutes, and 2 letters or characters for seconds. So 2 characters for hours, 2 characters for minutes, and 2 characters for seconds. So typically, we're going to start the question by importing a CSV file into a suitable database package. So the first file we're going to be looking at is J218 students.csv. So this table includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different fields. There's a Boolean field, which is going to be full-time. So this is going to be displayed as yes or no. There's going to be a date field, and the rest of the fields are text. So what we can do, we can have a quick look at this particular file just to see what sort of data will be in this file. So I've opened it up by double clicking. When we import the file, we need to close this down. So as you can see, this is a table containing student records, which includes the first name, family name, the student ID, which will probably be the primary key as it will be the unique field, the birth date, the faculty, the telephone number for the students, and whether they're full-time or part-time. So this will be shown as a Boolean, so yes or no. So let's close this down. Making these changes. So to make a new database, what we need to do is, first of all, in our folder, is right-click, select New, and select Microsoft Access Database. And I can call it 2018-21. Let's open it up. When you do open it up, you will realize there's no data in this database. It's going to be blank. I'm using Office 365, which is also slightly different to the version I've used previously. So the first question is import the file j218 students.csv into a suitable database package. So to import using Office 365, you go to External Data, New Data Source, From File, and you want to select Text. So remember, you click on External Data, New Data Source, From File, Text File. I'm just going to copy and paste in the address where my files are. So then you want to browse, and you want to go to your source folder. So the file which we need to import first of all is called J218 students. Let's double click. Next. Now when you get to this point here, look at the first row. The first row contains field names, so first name, family name, so we can tick this option here, and then you can see below these are individual records, so each student is an individual record in this database. Once you've ticked this option, first row contains field names, you then need to click on advanced. You need to ensure the date is in the UK format, date, month and year. Okay, and then we need to look at the Boolean field, so full-time will be displayed as a Boolean field. So if we go to full-time, this will be a yes or no field. Okay, the telephone will be displayed as text, so we need to change that here. Short text is the same. So first name, family name, student ID is text. The birth date is date and time, and the other two fields will be text as well. So typically when you're at this point, you're changing the Boolean field, but also check the other fields as well. Press OK. Next. Next. Now when you get to this point here, we need to identify which field will be used as a primary key, and it says set the student ID field as a primary key. So this field here will contain the unique data for each record. So we need to choose my own primary key. By default, it chooses the first record, which is first name. Obviously the first name could be repeated, so we need to make sure we select the student ID as the primary key. So this will be used as part of the relationship later on. Then you click on next and then finish. Okay, when you open up the database, we can have a look at the information. So first thing we need to change is the Boolean to display yes or no. So if you click on home and go to design view, we can click on full time, and in the format option we can select yes or no, and then we can view to see if that's changed. Yes, it has. Now we've got to change the date into the correct format. So remember we said the date will be shown like this. So this is an example, 19 JUN 07. So we can change the format of the date. If you come back to design view, click on date and time, if you go to format, we can have a look here at the different options. So we want to display it as a medium date, as you can see here. Okay, so 2 characters for the day, 3 characters for the month, and 2 characters for the year. Then if we go to view, and we can see the data has been shown in that particular. Okay, so now let's look at the next question. So next question is going to be to evidence. Okay, so evidence 4. Actually, before we do the evidence, let's make sure we save the data. So if you come back to here, once you formatted the data and the Boolean, let's just click on the disk up here to save the data. Then we can close this table down. So what we need to do is, for evidence 4, take a screenshot evidence showing the field names and data types used in this table. Place this into your evidence document. So I've opened up my evidence document. So evidence 4 is going to be a print screen showing the field names and the data types for this particular table. So actually, let's open it back up again. To do this, you need to go to design view, and this is what we need to print screen. So what you can do, you can click on date and time, so we include this evidence here as well. So let's take a print screen. Let's paste, and then make sure the print screens are nice and clear. Okay, and then you can resize it so it's obvious. You can see the field names, the data types, and the format of this data has been changed to medium date. So let's save the changes here. Okay, now let's look at the second table which we're going to import. So import the J218 test underscore data as a new table in your database. So what we can do, we can have a quick look at it, if you know, just to see what sort of data will be in there. So lots of random information, as you can see. So it looks like you got some test data, some scores, a start time, test duration, and who was invigilating the exam. So maybe it looks like something based on exams that were taking place. So let's close this down before we import. Okay, so again, the same steps we're going to take to import. So let's just close this table down. We need to click on external data, new data source, from file, and then text file. So again, exactly the same steps. Browse, and let me double check the file again. So test data underscore data. So it's this one here. Press OK. Next. Again, you can see the first row contains field names, so we can click on this option here. And you can go across and check for any Boolean fields. So I don't see any Boolean fields here. It doesn't really tell me in the exam question. So if you go to advanced, you can see most of the field types or data types are short text. If you go down, the test duration, date and time, test date and start time is in date and time format. So that's fine. We don't need to change that. Just make sure the date is in the correct order. So day, month, and year. If we go to next, if you look at your question paper, it says do not set a primary key, and we're going to make sure the dates and times are displayed in the correct format when we go to design view later on. So we're not going to choose a primary key, so we say here no primary key. Next, finish, close. Let's open up this table. Let's first of all put the dates into the correct format. So we've got one field here for the date, and then we've got 2 fields here but a time which will have to be put in the right format as well. So for the date, let's go to design view, let's click on test date, format, and we're going to select medium. Let's check if it's worked. Yep, that's been changed. We can save the changes, and then the time will be displayed hours, minutes and seconds. So let me just double check. Okay, so if we go to design view, start time, format, so we can select this option here. So you got the hours, you got the minutes, and we got the seconds, so long time. And then again for the test duration, the format, you can select long time. Okay, so, and I think if the date was already in that format anyway, so that's fine. Let's save the changes. Okay, so now we can move forward. So we've imported two tables. We just imported the test data table. Okay, we made sure we didn't set a primary key, and we made sure the data times are displayed in a correct format. So now we have to create a one-to-many relationship. Okay, so between the student ID and the student's table. So it's going to be this primary key linking to the reg ID field in the test table. So it's going to be this primary key linking to this foreign key here. So let's close down the tables before we can make the relationship. So make sure before we make the relationships, there's no tables open. Go to database tools, relationships, and let's add both tables. Okay. So to make the relationship, you need to first of all identify the primary key, and then identify where you see this piece of data in the next table. So this data here, student ID, matches up with this field here. So it's going to be a one-to-many relationship. So one student may have sat many exams. Okay, we need to place into the evidence document screenshots, so we can do multiple screenshots showing a type of relationship between the two tables. So it's going to be one-to-many. So I'm going to first of all print screen this box, click on create, and then I'll take a print screen of this. So this is evidence 5. So we can take multiple screenshots. So this will be my first one to show we have a one-to-many relationship. And again, we can increase the size. So it's a one-to-many relationship from this field to this field here. So one student sits in many exams. And the second print screen we can take is to show the relationship. So again, if I press my print screen button, you can also use the snipping tool if you want to do this. It's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable doing. So again, I'm going to increase the size. You need to make sure the evidence document is clear. Let's save the changes. Okay, so we've done the evidence document. Question 23. So we want to create a data entry form. Okay, so it's going to be in columns, so which will include all the fields from the test data table. So we're going to create, if I click on close first of all, let's just open up the tables. So as you can see, each person has sat many exams. Okay, so this person has sat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exams. So one student has sat many exams. That's a one-to-many relationship. So we're going to create a data entry form using the contents of this table here. So let's read the whole question first of all, which will include all the fields from the test data table. The field headings must be aligned to the left and positioned under each other. Okay, so the field headings must be aligned to the left and positioned underneath or under each other. Make sure all the field headings and data are fully visible. So we're going to click on create, form wizard, and you want to select the correct table. So we want to select this table here, select all of the fields, next, next, and we can include a suitable title. So test data entry form, finish. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it is in columns, but the formatting is not appropriate. We're wasting too much space with the field lengths. So now what we can do, we can apply appropriate formatting. So make sure all the field headings and data are fully visible. Okay, so to format the data entry form, we need to go to Design View. So the first thing we can do, if we press Control, we can close the size of these fields. They don't need to be so long. Okay, I'm just going to decrease the size of the height as well. Okay, just going to move these up slightly so we're not using as much space. Okay, so let's have a look so far. So as you can see, we've got the field names underneath each other, and then all of the information is shown. So let's just continue formatting the rest of this. Okay, and then if I go down, let's highlight the rest of the fields. This field we can decrease the size as well, and the invigilator we can also decrease as well. So I'm going to leave this a little bit longer in case the name of the invigilator is long. So let's close that. Okay, so let me just flick through. So I'm just trying to make sure all of the data is shown. Yep, I'm happy all of the data is shown. What we can do, if you highlight all of these and press Control at the same time, we can make sure the alignment of the text is on one side, so from the left hand side. So we can either do it here, or it might be easier if you go to Home and then click on the left hand side alignment, and then if you go to View, you'll notice all of the text is aligned to the left hand side. So it just makes it look a little bit more neater. Sometimes they may ask you to add additional features like buttons to go back and forth and to be able to add new records. So in some exams you have to take screenshots. In this example it's not really asking, but I'm just going to add buttons to make it more easier to use this form. So the buttons I tend to add is to go to the first and last record. So I'm going to show the picture. So that's to go to the first record. This is to go to the last record. Again, you show the picture. And then I want to include buttons just to go backwards and forwards. So go to the next record or the previous one. So let's do this one first, show the picture again. I'll arrange the buttons in a minute. So go to the next record. So it's always useful to include these buttons just to make it easier to use the form. So if you go to a normal view, so if you click on these buttons here, as you can see the numbers are increasing one by one. So we can also go backwards, so the numbers are now going back down. You go to the first record if you click on this button, or the last record if you click on this button here, so 772. You can also add additional buttons like to add a new record or to delete a record. So again, we can draw a button out, record operations, and we want to select add new record. This time, rather than showing a picture, it's best to show the text, to show what the button's all about. And then let's just add one more button, maybe to close the form. So form operations, close the form, and we can choose the text option. Okay, so we can click here to add new record if you want to close the form, save the changes, and we can close the form. So the form has now appeared here. Okay, so the next question is, using a form created in step 23, enter the following details as a new record. So what we can do, since we created a button to add a new record, we can click on this button here, add record. So it goes to 773, and then you'd be expected to type in this information. So I'm going to just copy and paste the information to save myself a little bit of time. So internet and email. So make sure you enter the data exactly as it appears on your question paper, including capital letters and lowercase letters and full stops and dashes. Okay, pass on 55, I'll type 55, save me some time. That's the date. That's the time. So and 2 more to go. And the invigilator's name. So let's copy the last one, save the data, and then normally when you do enter a new field into a data entry form, we are expected to take a print screen. So because I've copied and pasted, there will be no mistakes, but if you are typing, just double check the form to see if you have made any mistakes before you copy and paste into the evidence documents. So all of the data is visible. So what that means basically, let me show you. For example, if one of your field lengths was not long enough, then as you can see the data has been cut off. So we need to ensure the field lengths are long enough to show the appropriate data. So now we can see the full data. So let me just save changes again. Save the data, which we've done. Evidence 6, place in your evidence document a screenshot showing the data in your form. So we need to take a print screen from this data entry form to show that we've entered the new record. So let's go to evidence 6 now. Paste. Again, you need to ensure the print screen is clear. Obviously you want to pick up maximum marks. So yeah, so we can see the fields which are below each other. We can see the data that's been entered as a new record. Okay, so let's go down, save. Okay, so let's go back to the question paper and now look at the main question. So this is where we have to create a report. So using fields from both tables produce a report. Okay, so each test is marked out 60. You need to calculate the percentage each student has achieved. So you'll notice I've annotated this question paper. So before we can make the report, we need to make the query. So in a query, the first thing you'll do is select the field. So I want to take your attention to my website. If you go to IGCSE Practical Chapter 18, and then if you click on Database Overview, it'll bring you to this presentation here. So I'm going to go down to the query section. So this is another example of where I've annotated a question paper. So you need to know what you do in a query and then what you do in a report. So the query tasks are done first, then the report will be based on what you do in the query. So if I go down, the first thing we tend to do is we select the fields. Okay, so we need to make sure we select the fields from 2 tables maybe or 3 tables, and we select the fields in the order shown here. Okay, so you click on Create Query Wizard, select the fields, and then the second thing we may do is include the report title as the query title as well. So then it'll be easier to identify which query belongs to which report. So if I go back to my question paper, you can see Q1, query 1, we select in the fields, okay, and then Q2, the title, so internet units completed. Then the next thing we can do in a query is we enter the search criteria, okay, and we can use lots of different types of search criteria. So let's just go up one. Sometimes we can search a particular field and not show that particular field, so we can still search by, in this example here, the brand Nokia or Apple, and the search will be filtered, the results will be filtered. However, we can choose not to show by unticking this box here. Okay, every time you do enter a search criteria, it should be one search criteria at a time. run to see if it's worked or not. Okay, every time you should expect the results to reduce. So these are the different types of search criteria which we can use. So if you want to search for something that contains a particular name, so an actor, there's many actors in a movie, we can put star at the start and star at the end. If it's between, we need to include between the date and the second date, or the first and second number. If you're looking for multiple things, you can include or after each thing you're looking for. So for example, North Sea or Irish Sea. If you want to find something that excludes something, you can say not, and then whatever you want to exclude. You can use the less than or greater than symbols to find something greater than or less than. Or you can use equal as well, so this will basically find anything that's greater than or equal to 90, so 90 or above. If you want to find something that starts with 37, you can type in 37 then star, and that will find anything that starts with 37. If you want to find anything that ends with 37, you put a star first and then 37. So if we go back to the question, you can see the search criteria has been identified, and this is what we're going to be doing. So unit includes internet. So because there's many words in that particular field, so if I go to maybe this one here, so unit, can you see internet is not the only word, so we can need to put star at the start and at the end of internet to find anything that contains internet. Okay, so if we go back to a PDF, my PowerPoint presentation actually, we also expected to make a new field. Okay, so the new field will be done in a query as well. So this is an example here. So we want to make a new field called new stock level. So you'd write the name of the new field followed by colon. If you're going to use an existing field, you need to ensure it's in square brackets. So what we're doing here is adding 5 to the current stock. So 5 is not a field name, so 5 does not belong in square brackets. Then we can go to the property sheet and we can change the format. Okay, so, and these are some other examples of the query tasks. Once you've done that, you can move on to the report. But before we do so, let's start by doing the query tasks first. So if you go to the question, we're going to first of all select the field. So I'm going to zoom in on my question. Let's close down these tables. Yep, I want to save the changes. Go to create, query wizard. Yep, simple query. And the first field we need is student ID, first name, family name. So we need to go to your student table, student ID, first name, family name, birth date and full time, test date, unit. So that might be in the other table, so let's have a look. Test date, unit. Okay, score and result. And the new field is the one we're going to create here. So we can't add this new field percentage underscore mark because it doesn't exist yet. So we're going to be creating a new field. So once you've done that, if you go to next, next, and when you get to here, it's very important you label the report with the title shown. So we selected the fields. Now let's label the report with the title shown. So if we go back to my question paper, internet units completed. I'm just going to delete this so I can copy. So again, make sure if it is capital letters, you're using capital letters. So finish. And let's have a look how many records we're starting with. We've got 670 records. So the query is called internet units completed. So now what we can do, if you go to your PowerPoint, we can always follow these steps here, is let's enter our search criteria one at a time. So let's go to our question. So full time is going to be yes. So only show the records where full time is yes. So if you go back to here. So full time is going to be yes only. So let's go to design view. Full time is yes. Let's click on run. And we come down to 554 records. So that's great. And you can see full time appears to be yes. Okay, next search criteria is unit includes internet. Okay, so remember I said internet is not the only word, so you can't type internet. Internet is part of many words in a field. So what you need to do, under unit, we type in star, internet, star, and this will find anything that contains internet. Run. So we're now down to 65 records, and as you can see, we can see internet in all of these fields here. So you can go down and have a look. Yeah. And the last thing is the test date. So it was on or after the 1st of September 2016 and on or before the 31st of August 2017. So if you use this basically between, or if I go to my PowerPoint, I quickly, whoops, not that one, my presentation. So when you are searching between dates, make sure you're using this method here. So between the first date, this includes the first date, and the last date, it also includes the last date. So let me go to my question paper. So this is what we're going to type in. So between the first date and the second date. So we're going to be searching on this field here, test data. So let me get rid of this for now. I'm going to increase the column size so you can see what I'm typing. So between the first date is 01/09/2016 and the last date is 31/08/2017. 2017. If you click on run, so now we're down to 46 records, and let's look at the dates. So it should be, let's look at the last date, so 16 and 17. Okay, and if you go back to the question, so between the 1st of September 2016 and going to the 31st of August 2017. So the last two digits characters tells me I'm within that time period. Okay, so despite the data being in this format, in Design View you can type in data in any in a normal format, so the day, the month and the year. Okay, so now we've entered the search criteria. So we've selected the fields, we've selected the title, we've done the search criteria. Now we're going to enter the new field. So if I go back to my PDF, so when you are entering a new field, we go back into the query, we go to the end, you type the name of new field, oops, followed by the colon, and then if you're using an existing field, you need to make sure you include square brackets. So I've annotated the question already, so the original field or existing field which we're going to be using is going to be score, so it contains a new field called %_mark, which is calculated at runtime. This field will calculate score, which is the field. The clue is it's italic, divided by 60. 60 is not a field, so it's not going to be in square brackets. And then we can display it as a percentage using a property sheet later on. So let's first of all make the new field. So we're going to be using this field as part of this equation. So if you come to the end, and let me double check the name again, so it's going to be underscore or %_mark, and then you need to include colon. It's going to basically calculate the score. Score is a field, so we're going to put it into square brackets. And then we're going to, let's have a look, divide by 60. So if you click on run, so we have a mark, obviously it's not formatted properly yet. So how are we going to format it? So it's to be displayed as a percentage with 0 decimal places. So obviously we've got too many decimal places now. So if we go to Design View, click on this formula, if you click on Property Sheet, the format we want to select percent with no decimal places, 0. So let's see if that's worked. Yep, and we've got the percent here. So remember, the mark was out of 60. This person here has achieved 60 and therefore is 100%. So that's one way of checking to see if you got the right answer. Okay, so that was probably the trickiest part of this question. So we've now done the things we do in a query. So just to recap, the first thing you should do is we select the fields. Always select the fields in the right order. You go to query, query wizard, put a title in so we can identify the query to the report. This title will also be at the top of the report. Enter your search criteria one at a time to ensure it's working. If you make the mistake of entering all of the search criteria and then something's not working, then you won't know which one was the incorrect, or which search criteria is the incorrect one. So if you do it one at a time, you can check to see if it's working one by one. And every time you check the search criteria, the records should be reducing. And that's the different search criteria which we can use. So in this example, we used this one here. What else did we use? I think we used, if you go to, we used the star, so anything containing, so you put a star at the start and star at the end. Okay, and then also we just typed in yes for full time. Okay, so now we're going to be making a report. So when you make the report, okay, if I go down, what we can do in the report, we can do the sort. So we can apply a sort in the report. We can set the portrait orientation of the page, either portrait or landscape. Okay. We can make sure the labels fit to a single page wide, which we're going to be doing in layout view. We can include page footers or page headers, so including your name or any other labels. Obviously, this example here shows labels are not fully visible, or the data is not fully visible. That's why you see the hashtag. So the example below is the correct version where all of the data is shown. Okay, and you may have to do some calculations. Okay, so like maybe sums or averages, or maybe we have to count particular fields. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So once we've done a query, let's make the report. So if we go to create report wizard, select the query you want to use, select all of the fields, and you'll notice now we got the %_ as a field as well. Next, make sure the data is not grouped. So if I go back here, it says do not group the data. So if you click the second table, like this is going to be grouped. You've got two sets of squares. If you select the second table, it's going to ensure the table's not grouped. Click on next, and then now let's check to see what we have to sort the data by. So sort the data into ascending order of unit. So we select unit and then ascending, and then descending order of score. So we select score, descending. Because we put a sort in the report wizard, it's automatically going to move the unit and score as the first fields. Remember, we have to display the fields in this particular order. Okay, so we'll have to change that later on. Next, is it portrait or landscape? So it's going to be landscape. So we can select landscape. Next, and we need to put a report title here again. Okay, so it's the same title which we have here, Internet Units Completed. Make sure you type it in exactly. Again, if there's capital letters, that's what you need to include. And finish. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the problems which you saw in this presentation where data is not fully shown. Okay, so first of all, we need to put the fields into the correct order, and then we need to ensure all of the data is shown. So it looks like this. Okay, so if you click on close, and then we go to layout view, the first thing we need to do is to identify what's the first field. So the first field is student ID, first name and family name. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to make these really small. Okay, and then I'm going to move student ID across. Okay, and then if you press Control, you can select the data as well. I'm just going to move these using the right cursor on my keyboard. Okay, so now let's move the first name. So let's just drag it here. Again, what we can do, we can press Control and score. Let's just move this across. The family name is then going to be next. So you want to go down to ensure, you can see the data here is cut off on this name here, so we need to make some more space for that. We can't have any data not showing, so let's move that across. Let me just go down and check. Yeah, that data is now fully showing, so I'm just going to close it to here. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm happy with that. Family name, let's move that back slightly. So after the family name, let's have a look. What's after the family name? You got the date of birth, full time, test date. So birth date, full time, and test date. So it's going to be these next three fields. So let's just move that here. Let's increase the size of the column to show the date. That's the next one, so let's move that one here. And again, we can just move these ones across to make some more space for this field here. Okay, so after test date, unit and then score. So yeah, now we've got the unit, so let's move the score across so I've got some more space again. So again, press Control so you can select both. Yeah, if you want to make sure all of the information is fully visible, nothing is cut off, so make sure you're going down and you're double checking. Then the score, and then it should be result, and then the new field that we created as well. Perfect. So all of the data is now fully showing. So it should be score, result, and percentage mark in this order. All data and labels are displayed in full, and the data is not grouped. Okay, so we've done the sort. The page is landscape. Information fits on a single page wide. We've got a title, but now we need to format the title. So the title is already at the top of the page, but we need to make sure it's centered. Okay, so what we can do is if you go to design view, if I just increase the size of this box to the size of the page, and then if we go to home, we can centerline this text. Okay, what's the next thing we need to do? It's going to be bold serif. So we can highlight, we can make it bold, and the serif font is Times New Roman. Um, 28. Okay, so we may have to include the size of the header to show this information. Yeah, 28, and all letters are fully visible. Yep, I think I've done that. So yep, I'm happy that this is now center aligned. It's 28 at the top of the page, bold, serif, all letters fully visible. Now we need to calculate the average score and place this below the score column. So to work out the average, so if you go down on the PowerPoint here, so we can work out the average if you click on a particular column and you use the function tool at the top hand side. So if I go to my question, calculate the average score and place this below the score column. So this is a clue which field we're going to use. So again, you can see score is italic. So to do this, we need to be in a layout view. You click on score. Okay, so once score is selected, we can go to totals and we can work out the average. And that's automatically going to place the average below here. Obviously, it's not showing in full. Okay. Display the average score as an integer. So that's going to be a whole number. So what we can do, if we go to design view, you can click on average score, design, property sheet, and then the format is going to be, can't really see because it's cut off. Let me just make that a little bit bigger. So now let's have a look. Just want to select integer, so general number, no decimal place. So let's see if that's worked. No, that's not worked. So let me just double check again. Property sheet. If I go to standard and then no decimal place, let's see if that's changed it. So even for myself, you've seen sometimes, there we go, that's the number as a full value, full integer. So sometimes you got to try different options, and you saw there, even for myself, I was struggling to find the right option initially. Okay, so let's just move that in the right position. So has a label average mark to the left of this value? So we can include a label to the left of this value, so average mark. Whoops. So if you go to report view, actually let's go to layout view instead. And what we can do, just make sure this is underneath. So yeah, that's underneath that particular column. So we've almost come to the end of this question now. So has your name, center number and candidate number on every page of the report? So if you go to design view, does it tell me at the top of the page, or no, it just says on every page. So what we can do, we have page header and page footer. So I'm going to include my name in a page footer, so I'm just going to put it in the middle somewhere. It's not being specific left, right. So let me type my name. So if you have anything in the page header or page footer, that's what that basically means is your name will appear on every single page that you print out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, center number. Wait, hang on, let's see what they want. Yep, and then candidate number. 5, 6, 7, 8. If you go to print preview, and if you go to the bottom, you'll see on the first page the name is there, and then if you go to the second page, the name is there on every page. Okay, so we've come to the end of this question. So we're now going to save and print this report. So when you do save and print the report, just let me click save. If you go to file and print preview, let me just zoom out. Oh, why have I gone back to here? Let's try that again. You want to check first of all, if I zoom out slightly, all of the fields are in the correct order. All of the data is showing. Okay, the title has been formatted, and before you print, you need to ensure your name is on your work. If your name is not on your work, then even if this piece of work is given to you during the exam, this will not be marked by the examiner. So you need to make sure your name is on your work. Okay, so we've got 2 pages. Okay, so you will send this to the print. Let's save. So that's the first report done. We just need to take some evidence. So place in your evidence document a screenshot showing a formula used to calculate the average score. So if I just open up the report again. So we're talking about this formula here, so we need to show this formula. So we can take a print screen. So this is evidence 7. And then we can crop the part we need to show. Okay, so that's nice and clear. Save. Okay, so we've done that. And now we're moving on to the second report which we're going to make. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the second report. Before we can start this second report, you need to first of all identify what you can do in a query and what you can do in a report. So the query tasks have been highlighted in this color here, in the amber color, and the report tasks have been highlighted in green. So With the query, the first thing we should always do is select the fields and then label the query. And then the next thing would be to enter the search criteria. Once we've done that, the data has been filtered, then we can create the report wizard, which would include the sorting. We can select the orientation of the page, so it's going to be portrait. And then we can include our name and center details on the report somewhere. And also we can ensure the title is in a large font at the top of the page. So before we do anything, we need to click on Create Query Wizard. And you need to ensure you're selecting the fields from the table. So you're not selecting the fields from the query. You want to select the fields from the table to get all of the records. So the first field we need is student ID, unit and results. So student ID is in the students table. Test data, units, result, test date and test day. And start time in this order. So make sure you are selecting the fields in the right order. Next, next. And it's very important you always label the query the same title that will go at the top of the report, so query 2. And make sure you are paying special attention. If they're using capital letters or lowercase letters, then that's what you should be doing as well. So finish. So we're starting off with 670 records. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is enter the search criteria. So the test day is going to be Friday or Monday. So we're going to be searching this field here, test day. Do not get confused with test date. It's going to be test day. So if you go to design view, under test day, you type in Friday or Monday. So it's going to be either Friday or Monday shown. Click on run, and as we can see, it's only Friday and Monday, and now we're down to 55 records. Okay, the next thing we need to search for is the start time. It's going to start basically 6 o'clock or later, or 6 p.m. or later. Okay, so before we do this, let me just see what format the start time is in. So it's in 24-hour format. So if I go to design view, for the start time, I'm going to enter greater than or equal to, and this time here, so 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. So greater than or equal to 18, let me just check the format again, colon for the minutes and colon for the seconds. Then if I click on run, okay, so can you see all of the times have started? So you got 6 o'clock here, so 1800 hours. And it's basically 1800 hours or after. So we're down to 17 records. Okay, so we've done all of the tasks in a query. Now we need to start our report. So before we can start the report, let's just save this data here. Let's now go to create report wizard. So evening testing sessions, these are the fields we need to select. All of them in the same order. Make sure the data is not grouped. It does mention, so do not group the data. So if the data is shown like this, it will be grouped by ID. So if you click the second table, all the fields will be shown and it will not be grouped. Next, next. So now we can apply the sort. Sort the test data field, so the oldest test date is listed first. Okay, so test date, okay. So if you select test date, and if you leave this as ascending, it's going to show the earliest date first, so the oldest date first. Next, the page orientation of portrait fits on a single page, so we can select portrait, which has already been selected. Again, we need to ensure the title appears at the top of the report, so we can copy the title in. Finish. Okay, so now we need to ensure everything fits on a single page, okay? And because we've done the sort, the test day or the test date will appear as the first field. So we need to reorder the fields so it appears in the right order. So if I go to close, if I go to layout view, so I'm going to move the test date after result. So if I highlight control, let's move the date after the result field. Okay, I know it's not showing at the moment, but we'll resolve that in a second. So if I press Control and select the heading and the records, okay, you need to make sure all of the data is shown, so no data is cut off. So if you go down, you can see all of the data is visible. The reason the test date is not showing because the result is overlapping the test date, but we'll resolve that in a minute. So as soon as I remove this, you'll see the test date. Here we go. The reason you see the hashtags is obviously because the data is not fully shown. So we've got the oldest date at the top, going down to the earliest date, which is in 2017. Test date. And then the start time. Okay, so we've got the sort. The fields appear in this order now. Okay, the page is in portrait. So now we need to ensure this title is in a larger font at the top of the page. So what we can do, we can go to Design View. We can click this title here at the top. Go to Home, and we can increase the size. Maybe 36 would be big enough. So we can increase the size of the header of the report. Okay, there's no specific settings about making it italic or center aligned, so we can leave it like this. Okay, now we need to include your name, your center number and candidate number on the report. So again, it doesn't say where, so you can pull it anywhere. So what we can do is, let's just pull it at the top somewhere. So if I go to Design, select the label. So write my name, comma, center number, candidate number. Obviously in the exam you will be given this information. Then let's look at a print preview. So we've got the name appearing, we've got the fields all shown in the right order, the data is shown, nothing is cut off. So let me double check. So we have produced a report. So the test date is Friday or Monday. So before we print, let's check Friday or Monday. Yep. The start time should be, it should be 1800 hours or after, which is the case. The fields now appear in the right order, so student ID, unit result. Yeah, test day. So the date and then a day and then the start time. The data is not grouped. Okay. The title appears larger at the top of the page, and we've included our center number and name and candidate details. Right, so now we can save and we can print this report. Okay, so this is the next printout. So if I click on save, if you go to file, just make sure you're checking again before you print. So if you go to print preview, maybe it's best to zoom out. You can have a look. Yep, so it's portrait, all of the fields are showing. Then you can send it to the printer. Okay, save. Let's close this down. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. Okay, so question 27. John is planning to validate data entry. So the first question which we have to type into the evidence document is define the term data validation. So I've already copied and pasted the answers from the mark scheme. So data validation checks to see if the data is reasonable, sensible, checks to see if it satisfies certain criteria when inputted into a computer. Okay. The next question is name the most appropriate type of validation that would be used in a score field. So the score field, the maximum score is 60. Obviously the lowest score you can get is 0. So the most sensible validation would be the range check, which would only allow you to type in a number between those values. Okay, identify the most appropriate validation criteria that would be used in the score field. So this is what we would type in. So you can type in between 0 and 60. So again, this will not allow you to type in a number greater than 60, obviously less than 0 as well. And name another type of validation to check data entry. So we can use a lookup check or a length check. So there's plenty of different types of validation, which you will learn in Chapter 7 Systems Analysis. Okay, so we've come to the end of this video. So this is a database section complete. So let me just go through the evidence document with you and show you the print screens we've taken from the database section. So with print screen, the table showing the data types and the field names. The second print screen was showing a relationship. Okay, the type of relationship, one to many. Then of the form, which included a new record, the formula in the report, and then the questions related to data validation. Thank you for listening, and please share the channel with your friends, and please subscribe today. Take care. Thank you very much.